like you're an adult.
That's the thing. We already agreed.
Yeah, she talking to me. What is the problem? Because she don't want to tell us her name.
I don't know if that voice that you heard was the lady that's filming it, that's saying it, but there was a lady in the background. She says, I know she's done. Listen to this. Obviously, something happened before this, which obviously we're never going to know, but this lady obviously knew something was going to go on. Once a crew member or people start coming over because you're being uncooperative in some way, it's kind of over. It's like 99% chance it's going to be over. So this lady already knows that the lady that's either recording or sitting next to the person recording, it sounds like they're close to the camera, they know this thing's pretty much over, but I'm guessing that the lady who's arguing doesn't know that yet.
Okay, well, you want to tell me to cut my music down so I can problem. What's the problem? We ain't got no problem with that. We understand we got to help people get off the plane and help Betty White if something happens.
So you heard this lady mention Betty White. This is Betty White if you don't know who she is, but she is such a funny personality. Obviously, Betty White is not on this flight, and she's probably referring to one of the gate agents or one of the crew members. But a great way to unite a group of people against you, especially crew, is to start insulting one of them, because then they're all just going to bond together against you. So, really clever idea to do that when you're on a flight and you're trying to get going.
What's the problem? We agree. You're wasting your breath. They gonna take this plane off the ground.
Clearly, she is the problem. She's asking what the problem is. It's her. Now, you heard that flight attendant asked to go get the captain. As soon as that's happening, it was 99%, now it's 100% over. As soon as the captain's got to come back, and, well, maybe it's still 99%, because if the captain comes back and she's a totally different demeanor, then maybe he's just like, hey, let's just get going, or the captain, he or she decides, let's just get going, it doesn't really matter. But 99% of the time, the captain is going to take care of their crew members first. And if the crew members are saying, hey, this lady's being disruptive, it would be irresponsible for the captain then to override them and say, hey, forget it, let's just go. The captain has the responsibility of taking care of all the passengers and safely getting them there, but also has the responsibility of making sure that the crew is comfortable, safe, and everything during the flight. So if you have somebody that's being disruptive, who's saying, what's the problem, in the tone that she's doing it in, 99% of the time, you're just going to have to take care of the crew member and say, like, well, you're obviously the problem. Go ahead and get off the plane. And then you hear her saying this.
They gonna take this plane off the ground.
And they're definitely not going to take this plane off the ground. That's obviously not going to happen right now.
Did you ask her to agree? You ain't doing your job. Yeah, no nonsense going on. You better get out of my face is what you need to do, Betty.
Sounds like she's going to be a pleasure to fly with, and obviously now we know who Betty is. So that's Betty White. That's who she's calling her. So great job unifying everybody against you. Perfect.
Yeah, you think this is, you ain't got to worry about two damn things. What black birthday here? Yeah. Girl. Oh, really? No. That lady came and asked us, we got witnesses, we all agreed. Didn't nobody tell?
Bring the flight attendant over
Yeah, because we all agreed, and everybody can witness that. And my grandson is getting off out of school, and his mama took a flight to Mexico, and I'm not getting off.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the couple passengers that we're asking to please be removed.
No, my grandson is 4 years old, and he's getting out of school.
It really was.
No, we all agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be underway here shortly. We've got to take care of this issue here. Law enforcement will be here right.
Really, your flight attendant
I disagree with her.
Accident, so
She is
sorry.
lying.
Please,
So the captain's making this announcement where the law enforcement's coming down, but she's still confident that she's going to negotiate her way out of this because her daughter, who's the mother of the boy that she's going to go get, is in Mexico having a vacation, or maybe she's working, I don't know. And so this lady's thinking that that's a determining factor to the crew as far as her getting to her destination, and that's a zero factor for me as a pilot and most crew members. We don't really care. Now, it is possible that this flight attendant was really rude. It's possible. But what they do is they ask you, if you're sitting in the emergency row, hey, are you willing and able to help, or whatever phrase they say. I don't know, I've heard it like a million times. You think I would know it by now, but are you willing and able to help in the event of an emergency or something like that? And they want you to have your AirPods out or your earpods out or whatever you've got that you're listening to and say yes, or acknowledge them in a positive way that you're going to do that. If you're just blowing them off and they have to ask you more than once, then it's going to put you in this category where you're obviously not listening, you're not paying attention. And then if you bring up a bad attitude, which in my opinion she has, it's just never going to work out. And so you're going to be a disruptive passenger, and now you're sitting in the emergency row, which means you're a risk to the entire flight because all the people are going to be relying on you. Now, I'm not going to doubt for a second that this woman has the ability to open and throw that door out. I'm sure she has the ability to do that, but as a flight attendant, their responsibility is that everybody agrees there because their job and their life and the lives of all those passengers are there. So if the person isn't acknowledging them, then they have to go, hey, this person isn't playing by the rules. Now, it doesn't matter if the flight attendant was rude or not. Should it be that way? No, the flight attendant should be nice. And then you can vote to get rid of that flight attendant by never going to that airline again. And that's how you can vote with your dollars and stop using them. Now, the reality is if you want to get to your destination, even if that person is rude, and I've had them be rude to me and gate agents be rude to me, I just go, you just bite your tongue and you go, okay, I'm just going to take it, because you don't know what kind of day they're having. Maybe they've had a rough day and maybe they had a bunch of difficult people. So she's just going to have to bite her tongue.
I'm going to ask you one more time, Nike, to get off the flight. We're going to board the plane and please go from this for you.
But I'm calling my attorney because we didn't do anything wrong. The lady asked us to agree.
How is it that everybody has an attorney in their phone? If I was sleeping and making no problems at all whatsoever, and a flight attendant came flying ninja kick to my face, I wouldn't even know what to do. I would end up looking on Google for an injury attorney, but this lady seems to have somebody ready to call. So it's strange to me how everybody has I got an attorney. That's weird.
I'm not.
You're an inconvenience and everything else that you're
My
should have been a blind. Follow the rules. Get off, get your bag.
Okay, so here's some criticism for the pilot. One, as a pilot, they don't really have to go back there. They could, but if I was that pilot and I was like, I want to go back there because I think that there's a chance that we can save this flight to go, then I would go back and it would be real simple. Ma'am, are you going to get off this flight, or is law enforcement going to have to take you off this flight? And if the answer is anything other than, let me grab my stuff and I'll get off this plane, then I would just walk back up to the flight deck. There's obviously going to be no negotiation with this woman, so there's nothing to reason with. I wouldn't spend any time. I wouldn't stand over there. I wouldn't do any of that. It's a yes or no. Are you going to get off, or do we need law enforcement? Yes, we're going to need law enforcement. Okay, great. That's the decision tree met, and I'm going to go up to the flight deck and just wait for the police to come. If she says, oh, I'll go ahead and get off now, then it's great. Come on off. And then you walk them off the plane, off to the jet bridge. The gate agent takes them, close the door, and you're on your way. It's real simple. I wouldn't be negotiating. That's just me. I have no idea why the pilot is still standing there when the police come. I would make this super simple. Hi officers, I'm going to deplane, and when everyone's off the plane, please remove her from my flight. There's no negotiation here or explaining. It's your plane. She paid her $57 to go wherever she wants to go. She's not compliant with the crew. She's obviously going to be a disruptive passenger, as you can tell at this point. So it's just, we're going to take everybody off the plane, and then you can get her off. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing more to it, and the police are going to go, okay, everybody's going to get off the plane, and that's going to be it. Now, there's two reasons to take everybody off the plane. One, safety, because the person that you take them off the plane, they could start fighting, kicking, biting. You don't know. They could hurt one of the passengers or somebody, one of the crew members. So you just want to let law enforcement do their job. And two, probably so people aren't video recording it and posting it on the internet, because that's a bad look, as we've learned in the past. So one, you could make the argument for safety, and two, they don't want to have all the videos and all that stuff, because then that opens up lawsuits for them. If this lady if the police came and she goes, all right, I get it, I'm not going to make it on this flight, she could just walk off. But I'm guessing that's not the direction this is going. If you want to get on the plane and be totally left alone and not talk to anybody, then the thing to do is just take a window seat, not in the emergency row, get on the plane, put your hoodie on, which is what I do, pull it over my eyes, put in my AirPods, and then I just go to sleep. And I promise nobody's going to talk to you or ask you any questions. I do it all the time. So now everyone is obviously off the plane and they're gonna take off without her, which is a huge shocker. Initially, she could have just said sorry to the crew member, I must have had a misunderstanding, gotten off the plane and maybe taken a later flight on Frontier. I'm sure they would have put her on another flight or someone else if there was no other flights going on. And if she really had to get back home, instead of just trying to win this argument, she probably would have been home a few hours later or wherever she's trying to go, and it would have been fine. But Frontier doesn't have free snacks, and when you go to jail, they have free snacks for you. I don't know that they're any good, but they are free snacks, and who doesn't enjoy a free snack? So she wanted to win something, and she won that prize. That was just a funny one someone sent to me, and I just thought it was funny. But that guy's going to comply, you know? If he's willing to do the robot, and I don't know how they got the TSA agent to do that, but if you can get somebody to do something like that, that's the type of person that you want that's going to comply when you're asking them to do something. And like I said, I'm sure that lady, in the event that there was an accident, could have and would have absolutely thrown the door open. But obviously you want the guy who's going to be willing to do the robot. That's funnier.
What do you mean by you're done with me?
Ma'am, you're not gonna sit here and try to record stuff and try to act like.
No, seriously, what do you mean by you're done
Your
with me?
ticket is void because you're being a disruptive passenger.
How am I being a disruptive passenger
Ma'am,
when
you can step
literally
over there.
told
I'm
me
no longer gonna speak to you, and I'm definitely not gonna speak to you if you have me on your phone, on your camera.
So this lady that's talking is a gate agent, the lady that's behind the counter. Typically, the gate agents are going to be some of the grumpiest people you're going to encounter, and I encounter them too, and I have to deal with them if I'm jump seating or going somewhere. And they're grumpy because they have to deal with people like this, because they don't really have a lot of power of what they can do. I could never be a gate agent unless I had like a taser or something. But people like this, it's like, how am I being disruptive? How am I? It's like, you're being so annoying. Like, how do you have to even ask that question? It's really clear why you got kicked off the plane. And this lady is keeping way more calm than I was. So good for her. I don't even know how you have to ask how you're being a disruptive passenger when you do things like this.
How am I being a disruptive passenger?
Ma'am.
I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Oh, because you don't want me to record how rude you've been to me?
You can record whatever you want to be. You were the last one to check in. You were denied boarding.
I did not. I checked in an hour and a half ago.
And I told you then that you were the very last one, and you would probably not get a seat because the flight was oversold.
This flight is delayed by an hour and a half.
Regardless
you guys
of that, you were the last one to check in, and the flight was oversold.
I have an email confirming.
Step away from my counter, ma'am. I'm asking you not
that
to
I would
record
get a
me.
ticket.
I'm asking you to not record me. Step away
Is
from
that
my
a law
counter.
in Texas that I can't record you?
Yep, she sounds like a not disruptive and easy to get along with passenger. So she's wondering why she got kicked off. This video really proves the point of the crew or the gate agent or whoever decided that she was going to be disruptive. Now, the thing is that in an oversold flight, and the airlines do this because a lot of times people don't show up for their flight, they miss their connections, maybe they fought with the person next to them on the previous flight, or who knows what. There's a lot of times that these flights end up having empty seats. So airlines oversell the seats, and that's why they're able to sell the seats so cheaply. So they oversell it. Now, if you are the last person to check in for your flight, then that's just the system they came up with. You're the last person to check in, and that means if everybody shows up for their flight because it was oversold, you're not going to make it on your flight. That's just the rules. And that's why you're able to get a flight on a $100 million plane for $57, because they oversell those seats, assuming that a percentage of people aren't going to arrive. Now they have the math of how many seats they oversold. I don't know what the numbers are because it's going to change on different airlines, but that's the math. So if she was the last person to check in and that gate agent said, hey, there's a high likelihood that you're not going to make it on that flight, then she let her know, and she obviously was like, no, that doesn't apply to me. I have special rules. Now, this gate agent is being way more patient than I would have been. To have someone badgering me like this and filming me would be super annoying. But the lady is right. She is allowed to record. She is in a public space, but I don't know why people think that being annoying is going to get them anywhere, especially when it comes to the airline world. You're not going to badger the crew into letting the captain or making the captain take off. It's just not going to happen. Like, I'm just going to annoy you, and then you're going to go, fine, let's just go. That's not how it's going to work. It's just easier to not have you on the plane. And the same with the gate agent. You're not going to just pester that gate agent and just beat them into submission to letting you get on a flight. It's just never going to work.
In public?
Step away from my counter.
That I can't record you in public?
Step away from my counter.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
Right there, just taser. I just taser. That would be the end of it. I need to start an airline where I'm allowed to like tase people, or like maybe team up with Dana White from the UFC, where we get like the fighters that didn't quite make it all the way, and they could be the gate agents and the cabin crew members, and that way when someone just acts out of line, just like choke hold, and all the things. all the things that they do, I think then you've got in-flight entertainment. You're just like waiting for someone to do this, and then chokehold. There should be an airline for that.
You can stay here all day you want to. Your ticket is canceled. If you want to stand here, I'll call security and I can have you removed. Those are your choices at this point.
Because I'm bothering you
You're
by
being a
standing at the counter?
disruptive passenger.
How am I being
So you
disruptive?
can flip it however you want to.
How am I being
You're being a
disruptive?
disruptive passenger and you are done. Thank you. Have a nice
How am I
day.
being disruptive?
If I see you over here in 5 minutes, I will be calling security on you.
Huh?
Have a nice day.
Are you kidding me? Look at this. There is no one here. Absolutely no one here. Look at this. I'm being disruptive by being at the counter. Look at this.
Can you imagine having the audacity to not only record this, but then to publish it online thinking everybody's going to take my back? Can you imagine having the audacity to do that? But that's what's happening. So next time you get on a flight and you see a gate agent and they're being super grumpy with you and you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to show them. Don't show them. Just go, they probably dealt with a Karen like this 5 different times a day, and just go, thank you, ma'am, and get on your plane and be happy that you're getting on this nice, expensive, shiny jet and flying somewhere instead of doing what I had to do back in the day during flight school, which was like ride the bus places. Sometimes it smelled like urine. So just be happy you're not on a urine-smelling bus going to your destination. You're getting on a plane and you paid hardly anything for it. I have a flight to catch. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.